Welcome back, Mighty Souls. I'm Stephen Koss. This is chapter 2 of Thought Outlines the Vision, Emotion Colors It In, Harnessing Thoughts. A little interactive video, the reading. And I think to harness thoughts, we've really got to grasp through a different scope. Because we're not really thinking of the abundance of them and how strong they are. The Cleveland Clinic says we have 70,000 a day. That's close to like an NFL stadium on Sunday. Over 100 billion neurons. We can measure that as the stars in the Milky Way. Creating 500 trillion connection points, which I have no example for, traveling at 300 miles an hour through your synapses. So I thought, what was a good metaphor for some of that stuff? And I know we just did the stadium and the stars, and I was like, what travels at 300 miles per hour? And a quick Google search will reveal that Andy Wallace traveled 304 miles per hour and 77/100ths in a Bugatti. Just in 2019, fastest anybody's ever gone. But it's happening every day in a blink of an eye. So it's really big scope. I mean, if we're having, every individual is having 70,000 thoughts a day, and when in America there's 332 million people, you're looking at 23 billion thoughts a day just in America. And what's crazy about that is that that's only 25% of our 100 billion. So these thoughts are having, on a mass scale, at a mass speed, a velocity, but what kind of direction are we giving them? And that's kind of what this chapter is about. We also, like every thought isn't weighing as important, but to give another like scope of perspective, think about 9/11. And every single person, if you ask them this question, like, where were you at? How did you feel? They're going to remember with certainty exactly, because this power of emotion out of 70,000, this one day, I can remember it like it's yesterday. So we got to look through that different scope to really harness the power it has and that we're gifted with it. So if we're having 70,000 thoughts a day, our hands would get tired as all hell to write them down, and some thoughts are more important than others, right? So it's like, what's going on in your top 10? Like how many on repeat, that are angry, fear, anxiety, compared with the amount that are on repeat that are like, oh, I'm super happy today, thankful, creative. It's really an important thing when you think about how much time this playlist is getting. And that if I can remember everywhere I was at on 9/11 with such certainty because the emotion was wired so hard, what other thoughts am I registering and wiring with this hardcore emotion? And I'm not, harnessing where I want to be. So let's think about what these terms actually mean. I was in a class one time at USF, and our professor was out sick, so the chair of the department taught our class, and he kept saying to us, well, what does that mean? Define that. And everybody's like, well, you know what I'm talking about when I say that? He's like, no, please define it. And that's always stuck with me. So what is it to think? We're able to consider and reason. And what is a thought? An idea or an opinion. And we hold this power to do both these things. It's like, here you are, there's 70,000 of these things going out every which way. We don't know where they came from, but they exist. And you have the power to filter through them, consider or reason this idea or opinion that just came over you, and rationally develop, down your way of manifesting your own reality. But it's really hard. It's hard. You're getting bombarded every day. You're getting slammed with other people. And their stuff's crossing into yours. Why did this person say this to me at work? Why did they cut me off? Why would they hurt me? You know what that person said? And then there's thoughts on repeat. And so you are harnessing a thought, but you're getting this response that you really don't want. So how can we get to the point where we're guiding our own ship? First off, we recognize, spelled that wrong, this importance, this power, this inheritance, that 70,000 at my will is nothing to scoff at. I mean, it's like NYC, right? City never sleeps. They're on wartime production. And what are we producing? So once we've recognized those different metaphors, driving in a Bugatti 300 miles per hour, that fast, enough neurons in my brain as the Milky Way has stars, I've recognized that it does have power. But to make it even more real, you can write them down, bring them into the physical, make them tangible. In my daily life, I have a whiteboard in the other room and I write down my wins. What happened on Monday that I'm proud of. Recording your wins is worth it. Wouldn't you rather live there and just, it's there, I see it, it's looking back at me, I'm harnessing it, I'm making it happen. It's a good reinforcement. Because what you're fighting against, I heard this in yoga class, you're fighting a 1 to 7. You need this many positive thoughts to fight off one negative thought. So writing down will help bring that equilibrium into play. Instead of running back to your routine of, I'm not doing well today, and recapping your negative experiences instead of, reoccurring your wins and expressing, hey, when I win, you win. An assist is as good as a score, I always say. All right, at 3, let your subconscious do it. Don't try so hard. You know, in the book, in chapter 2, I read about before you go to sleep, you are hardware and you need a software update. And an easy way to do that is to, I got this, geez, must have been 20 years ago, is a mind evolution system, super mind evolution system. And they said, before you go to sleep, just take 10 minutes and write down 5 things that you were proud of throughout your life, whatever kind of accomplishment. You know, I got my real estate license, or I drove across the country, whatever it may be, and just get proud of you, like set the tone. You just go through those and you relive them with emotion, because it's just like 9/11. Like, you remember when you succeeded that. Well, I mean, how could you forget? It was an amazing feeling. It was a triumphant moment. You got first place, gold medal, high on the podium. Now that you've set the tone, you can put into your subconscious what you want to attain. I mean, if we look at, you know, the Cleveland Clinic was saying that 95% of your consciousness when you're awake is controlled by your subconscious. So don't try, just let it happen. Just go, put yourself in this tone. What do you want to get? You want a new job? You want to move? You wish you could mend a relationship? Whatever it may be, just be like, hey, can you take care of this for me? Because I've been worrying about it too much. And I know from the numbers earlier that the power lies here with you, and I'm overlooking that. And that's an easy technique. I know we all go to bed the same way and we wake up the same way and do our routine, especially if we're over 35. Break that pattern up a little bit, which is number 4. Intentionally break patterns of others. This can be done so easily. As I point out in the book, hey, how you doing? How many times do you hold a door for somebody, talk to the clerk at the gas station? And it's the same mantra every time. How you doing? Yeah, good, good. How you? Good, good, etc. All right, yeah, not bad. Can't complain. Why not change that up? Why not just throw a ratchet into that grinding subliminal routine that just is like not worth me even opening my mouth for? I hate that shit more than anything. Like, there's no need to respond. I already know. Why don't you just give me a nod? It's already said. Instead, you could just, like, I've talked to guests at work. How you doing? If I was doing any better, vitamins be taking me. Rolling with certainty in an uncertain world. How are you doing? Doing my best to smile big, shine bright. You know, just something that's different. If you got 70,000 people at NFL games, somebody's going to stand out. Now you've harnessed that thought. This person now is off their routine, so they're going to actually listen to you because they're startled. And now you can harness thought together. Now this person may have a creative thought or instinct that you never thought of, and you're like, oh my God, we're in this together. I can't believe we actually were able to communicate by just harnessing thought. It's like, what a thought. But like at the beginning of the chapter, I quote Sigmund Freud, you know, where does a thought go when it dies? And that's kind of an interesting thought, man. I never really thought about where a thought goes when it passes. I suppose, like, we hold it, right? Like, how long? There's this one over here, you're like, not letting that one go. Not holding on to that. And guess what? I'll tell you exactly what happened on that day, like 9/11. Like, but if we learn to let it go, I suppose it just goes back to where it came from. Which is something not tangible, something that can only be measured through EKG. But it's not so much important for me to understand where it came from, but to harness the power that we inherit. You know, at the end of the chapter, I say, you know, light speeds fast, but thought's quicker, man. And it's like we haven't figured out the warp drive, like I write, but every day we can just practice this. Like there's no shortage of time or resources. And one thing I love about yoga is they're like, yoga, it's just a practice. When we start to think in terms of practice, everyday practical applications, getting better, not like, where am I at today on the board? Where am I registering out of this many people? Where I rank? What have I done? You know, being so hard on ourselves. We're harnessing those bad thoughts. It's like it's a practice. What did I win today? Well, let me go back to what I recorded. I know the significance of this stuff now. I have these amazing thoughts every day. I think they're worth writing down and sharing with other people, but can I share them in a certain type of way that's not the same lower frequency? It's like if I snap them out intentionally, harness my own self and my subconscious, and just let it happen. Instead of like, it's like shooting a free throw. When you bend your knees and you follow through, just keep your eye on the goal, swish. Other times you're looking there and you force that ball in there and it hits off the back iron. So I hope that gives you a better idea of how to harness thoughts, you know, realizing the scope of the importance of it. And knowing that whatever you want, it's right there. You just have to give it its due significance and put it to work for you, which really doesn't take much time. I hope that explained things a little better and move forward on to chapter 3. Smile big, shine bright. Peace.